जिन लोगों का है, जो इनके सरपरस्त हैं, मैं चाहता हूं कि मैं उनकी जुबान में बात करूं और मैं उनको ये बात पहुंचाऊं। The story of terrorism in Pakistan starts a long time ago. From Brigadier Yusuf's Afghanistan, the bear trap, to Tariq Ali's the clash of fundamentalism, Asad Durrani's the Spy Chronicles, Dr. Fazl Rahim Marwat's From Mahajar to Mujahid, Khadim Hussein's The Militant Discourse, Zahid Hussein's Frontline Pakistan, The Struggle with Militant Islam, and numerous interviews of General Hamid Gul and Brigadier Sultan Amir Tarar, known as Colonel Imam. A mountain of literature has been produced internally and externally, proving the fact that the roots of terrorism goes back to the era when leaders of 5 non-state militant organizations were brought from Afghanistan for military training to Pakistan in 1974 during the peak of Cold War. When martial law was imposed by General Ziaul Haq in Pakistan in 1977, the US, Europe, the Gulf countries, Iran, Turkey, Israel, and almost 2/3 of the world opened up their kitties and sent their spy agencies to defeat the Soviet Union in Afghanistan long before the Soviets had even started thinking about sending their troops to Afghanistan. The military junta at that time hosted all the spy agencies of the world, established training camps in Pakhtunkhwa, in Balochistan, and in Punjab for the militant armed militias, constructed a narrative of the so-called jihad in media, and, sir, I want you to listen to it.
चलिए ठीक है,
ये नोट खतरनाक होते हैं, ले ले, शायद काम आ जाए आपके, बोल तो नहीं सकते, शायद देखने में आपको फायदा मिल जाए. And educational curricula, and released huge funding for establishing madrasas for recruiting foot soldiers for the so-called jihad. Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, and Afghanistan were made war theaters. I'm talking about 1977. This is now 2024. The US, Europe, and Israel became the defenders of Islam. A fully fledged guerrilla war against Afghanistan was started in the late 1970s, for which Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan were made the launching pads. Billions of dollars and petrodollars were poured into create militarily, political, and ideological infrastructure of war in Pakistan in general, and Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan in particular. Bacha Khan, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, my great-grandfather, and Khan Abdul Wali Khan, my grandfather, called this war a battle between 2 elephants, in which frogs would be crushed. And remember, we are still crushed. As opposed to the rest of the world, Bacha Khan and Wali Khan refused to accept it as a defense of Islam. They said it was cultivation of war machine in the name of Islam for the strategic interests of the international powers, i.e. the United States of America. They foresighted that the infrastructure of war developed in the name of religion would be exploded against Pakistan and Pakhtunkhwa, as we are saying yesterday, even as one notification did today in Swat, Madyan mein, जो वाकया पेश आया है कि एक मॉब ने उठ के पूरा सब कुछ हाथ में लेके जलाया है, ये हमें इस वतन ने सिखाया है. The Soviet forces entered Afghanistan in the late 1980s. Our leadership opposed the Soviet invasion and asked the White Bear to return their troops. Here in Pakistan, another narrative was constructed. After Soviet troops entered Afghanistan, a narrative was disseminated that the Soviets wanted to reach warm waters. Interestingly, the minutes of Politburo meetings of the Soviet Communist Party recently declassified never mentioned any such intent. In Pakistan, during this war, an elected prime minister was sent to the gallows. Democratic institutions were paralyzed. The constitution was distorted. A fanatic mindset was created and permitted in the Pakistan society. And scores of armed extremists, private militias were erected. Powerful drug and gun-running mafias propped up to oil the war machine, which had been started with the financial and military support of the Europe, US, Israel, Gulf countries, Iran, Turkey, and most of the rest of the world. When the Afghan war between the US and Soviet Union ended after the Geneva Accord in 1988, the Soviet forces returned, the Soviet Union disintegrated, and the CIA wrapped up its operation. The war inside Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Pukhtunkhwa never ended as was envisaged by our leadership. The internal power tussle among the jihadis started right after the Geneva Accord. When the war turned ugly, another faction of these fanatics was supported by Pakistan and facilitated by the US. They called themselves Taliban from Kandahar. The Taliban took over Kabul in 1996. Afghanistan became a hub of the terror syndicate consisting of Al-Qaeda and other terror groups around the globe. The Twin Towers in the US were attacked and destroyed on 11th September 2001. The investigation led to the alleged involvement of the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden, who was allegedly harbored by Taliban in Afghanistan. The US asked the Taliban to hand over bin Laden, but the Taliban refused. The US and its allies started war on terror to dislodge the Taliban emirate in 2001. Bin Laden was later found in Pakistan, mountainous towns of Afghanistan, and as they claim, he was killed in 2011. Well, I don't believe myself that he was killed, because in this era, I haven't myself seen any of his picture or any of his video that's been shown where we can see that the terrorist, the biggest terrorist of the subcontinent, has been killed.
اچھا، یہ احمد ولی خان جو سٹوری بیان کر رہے تھے، انہوں نے اپنی تقریر شروع کرنے سے پہلے یہ کہا کہ وہ فرنگی کی لینگویج میں اس لیے بات کریں گے کہ یہ پسند کرتے ہیں کہ یہ ان کے آقا کی لینگویج ہے. اشارہ نہ جانے کس طرف تھا ان کا، لیکن فرنگی کا لفظ نہیں استعمال کیا. انہوں نے صرف یہ کہا کہ اس زبان میں بات کریں گے جو یہ سننا پسند کرتے ہیں اور ان کے آقاؤں کی زبان ہے. پھر انہوں نے وہ ہسٹری بیان کی کہ پاکستان میں کیا ہوتا رہا. یہاں وار، ٹیررزم اور ایسی جنگیں جو کہ خاص طور پہ وہ ضیاء الحق کے دور میں ہوا کہ افغان جنگ شروع ہوئی، جو گرم پانی تک پہنچنا چاہتا تھا سوویت یونین، اس کو وہاں سے روکنے کا اصل معاملہ تھا. یہ دو بڑی طاقتوں کے آپس میں ٹسل اور کولڈ وار کا نتیجہ تھا کہ پریکٹیکلی سوویت یونین افغانستان میں آ گیا، یہاں پہ ٹیک اوور کرنے کی کوشش کی. افغانستان کی گورنمنٹ بھی ان کے ساتھ کوآپریٹو تھی، لیکن یہ بہت بڑا ٹاسک تھا جو پاکستان کو دیا گیا. اور پھر دیکھا زمانے نے کہ گلی گلی، محلے محلے، کوچہ کوچہ جہادی بھرتی ہو رہے ہیں، سر عام ٹریننگ ہو رہی ہے، اور یہ پھر دیواروں پہ چوکنگ ہو رہی ہے، چلو چلو اور جہاد افغانستان کے لیے چلو. پھر 80,000 جانوں کا نذرانہ ہم نے پیش کیا، اور وہ گرم پانیوں تک پہنچنے والے سفید ریچھ کو روکنے کے لیے وہ جہاد کا نام دیا، اور یہ در حقیقت امریکہ کی جنگ تھی. اور پھر جب طالبان نے امریکہ کا جینا حرام کر دیا اسی افغانستان میں، تو پھر اس کو نکالنے میں بھی ہم نے مدد کی. لیکن یہ کہ وہ اسامہ بن لادن جو کہ وہ موسن تھا امریکہ کا، وہ جنگ لڑنے کے لیے، وہ جہادی